have you here with us today on the 7th floor of this beautiful American Savings Bank campus in Honolulu. Mike, sorry. You guys tried to all use the mic and I didn't.
Does it work? Yeah. Okay. So to the viewers on Zoom, now you can hear me. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Sandra Fujiyama and I'm the Executive Director of PACE. Today we have 4 incredibly talented teams that are competing for more than $68,000 in prizes, made possible by our amazing sponsors. First, thank you to American Savings Bank for being our title sponsor. Your continued partnership and engagement makes this semester-long program possible. So thank you, American Savings Bank. Thanks also goes to our generous prize sponsors. So mahalo to HEI and Hawaiian Electric and Highbeam for their continued support, which allows us to provide the cash prizes to the 2nd and 3rd prize winners. In addition to the cash prizes, the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd place winners will take home a carefully curated prize package of in-kind professional services to support them on their entrepreneurial journey. Thank you to Blue Logic Labs, Hub Co-working Hawaii, New Venture Pro, Pineapple Tweed, and Vantage Council. The complete list of valuable prizes is on page 17 of the program. Next, I would like to recognize the Dean of the Shidler College of Business, Vance Rowley, and also our amazing board of directors at PACE. So thank you to our board. So now on to today's event. The journey for our finalists began in January. Over the past 3 months, they poured hundreds of hours into developing a business model, then putting it to paper in a business plan. And they also prepared compelling pitches, and they beat out 40 other teams along the way in the 1st and 2nd rounds. It's a very intense program, and all of the teams should be very proud of their accomplishments. So a round of applause for the team. So here's our agenda for today. We'll introduce the judges first, and then each finalist team will have 10 minutes for their presentation, and 10 minutes of Q&A with our judging panel. Then the judges will move into a separate room to deliberate. While the judges are deliberating, we will invite our guests to enjoy a networking reception. We'll be back here at 12:50 for our award ceremony. So now let's meet our judges. First up, we have Mickey Hardesty. She is the Chief Operations Officer of ProService. Next, we have Lauren Name, the Vice President of Strategy and Transformation at Kamehameha Schools. And then there's Andrew Ogawa. He's the Managing Partner and Founder of Quest Venture Partners. And Ann Teranishi, President and Chief Executive Officer of American Savings Bank. So please refer to the program for more detailed information about and bios on all of our judges, as well as bios on all of our teams. Our judges have already read the team's business plans and will help us make the tough decision today. So please help me in thanking our judges and give them another round of applause. Okay, so before I turn the floor over to our first team, I have a couple of housekeeping announcements. So please, we ask that members of the audience refrain from interacting with the presenters or the judges during their presentations. And please also try not to cause any disruptions while the presentations are in session. So please take a moment to silence any of your phones or ringing devices. Are we all ready? Okay, let's get started. Our first team is Localinqs, coached by Carolyn Fry of the Shidler College of Business.
Okay, hi, we are Localinqs. Thank you for coming to our pitch. Meet Emma. Emma is a college student. And she needs all this information that college students need. So all of this information is currently scattered across the web. It's often dated and incomplete. The rest of it, it's available only through word of mouth. However, there is a problem because Emma is new to school and she has a problem getting to all this information because she's still not connected sufficiently. That's not only Emma's problem. A lot of students are under stress because of the same situation, such as online students, such as out of the state or introverts, or international students such as myself. When I first came here all the way from Europe, I didn't know who to ask about classes and professors and exams. I could only ask my cohort peers, but they were as new as clueless as I was. So that was of no help. So currently, there is no single platform that will gather all this information that students need, but also help them communicate with each other and connect. Entering our solution, Localinqs, which is an academic platform designed specifically for college students. It's a one-stop shop when students will get all of the information on their departments, courses, faculty, their research, but also campus events. Not only that they will easily access to all this information, they will be able to connect with each other, and all of that will help them in their academic success. So this is a scenario where a student will be able to explore information from this one place. For example, on a course. So in this scenario, how do I complete? Oh, there. A student can, A student can take a look at the course, join the course chat, or see who are the other students. So now it's not playing for some reason. But in general, yeah. So this is the course. They can join the course chat, or they can see who are the other students who have taken this course and easily connect with them directly or read a comment on this course, such as, oh, this is a fun course. This way they can make data-driven decisions on whether they want to enroll it or not. In this scenario, a student who is interested in cybersecurity as a topic of research can see all the publications and faculty from different departments who publish on this topic. They can go and follow the link and read the publication on the library website. Not only they can find information, but they can also socialize and make connections and rally around sports and other live events. So now imagine that all of these apps had an academic love child. This is what Localinqs is. So we will use features of these apps and integrate into a single app that is specifically tailored towards academic community. This is a unique product that is run on a unique engine based on the data that we will scrape from multiple academic websites. We will link to publications and dissertations from a school, but also crowdsource information from students themselves, and we are certain they will give this information because that way they can see themselves as part of academic networks, but also get a well-personalized recommendations. And we can do all of that because we have this amazing team to support all of this high-demanding app. And I'm Stasha, founder and CEO. I have a master in library information science, and I'm almost done with my PhD in communication information sciences, and I'm in charge of information and architecture part of the project. Now Colleen will introduce herself.
I'm the data and analytics nerd. I have a PhD in planetary physics, and I was on the science team of a NASA mission, and I love school so much that I'm back for an MBA. Next is Valeria, our CFO.
I am Valerie. I'm an attorney and CPA. I'm the legal and financial whiz. I will keep us out of trouble and keep our finances in check. This is Mickey, our Chief Technology Officer.
Hi, I'm Mickey. I'm the IT guy. Currently, I work as a senior system architect, and I'm here to support this lovely team.
So we are certain that this app is needed and will be used because we know the market and have done extensive market research. And for the last 5 years, I have been doing research on PhD students in particular, and based on their information needs, I developed this prototype that was evaluated by them, but also other stakeholders such as faculty and grad division, and they all agreed it's very useful, and some of them said they wouldn't be able to find this information elsewhere. Not only that, we distributed a university-wide survey, and over 100 undergrads and grads populated that survey, and 91% of them said they would be using such an app, and they would communicate with other students on classes, their educational paths, program requirements, and other things. So next, Colleen will talk about target market.
We're happy to start at Manoa, where there are 20,000 students, and we'll begin with graduate students and then do more research and expand to undergraduate students. And we have strong ties to the community, so we expect to be able to get to the network effect quickly, which is like the snowball effect, but for adding users to the platform. We don't have to limit ourselves to students, though. We've done some informal research that suggests that professors and administrators and recruiters would also be interested in this product. So when we go to mainland, that will give us 20 million students, and then when we go global, that will be 235 million students. Just looking at the United States alone, students have an estimated purchasing power of $600 billion. And you can see how that shakes out below. 90 billion on restaurants, 70 billion on groceries, 15 billion on coffee, which you might expect to be a little higher. We know that this will attract a lot of potential ad revenue. There are local retailers that will be interested in tapping into this valuable market. Okay, so we'll start here with the University of Hawai system, and then we'll go to other universities, and then we'll go university by university to the mainland, where there are 4,000 universities, and then eventually globally, where there are 20,000 universities. Okay, so we've been prototyping this app, and which is why we're here. We need seed money to get this off the ground. And then we'll do cycles of development, testing, and release, starting at UH and then mainland and then globally, which is when we'll need more money. We expect the ad revenue to be either subscriptions, individual users, and we hope to partner very closely with the universities so we can offer it at institution level. And we'll also, like I said on the previous slide, have ad revenue from local retailers. And then when we go with version 2.0, that will give us software as a service revenue. We want to emphasize that we're really excited to be able to develop this in this place that we're lucky to call home. And we believe that it will not only benefit Localinqs, but also showcase UH as a place of learning. We want to thank you for your time and hope that you will help us help Emma and other students like her. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. I have a question. How do you populate the data? Initially, I'm sure you're going to create links to existing websites, whatnot. But yeah, if you can let us know about how you plan to, populate the data that's required, because it's kind of like the chicken and egg, right? Once you have the data, the users are not going to come. And then how do you plan to maintain it as well as a business?
Thank you for the question. This is the most important question actually for the app. So we have identified which websites we can scrape the data and populate the categories that we put in the database. And we will hire a person who will help us with scraping and importing the data. The rest of it has to be crowdsourced, so we have to use some gamification and other means to entice students to populate. But also, as we said, we hope that they will have a motivation to do that, because that way they can get personalized recommendation based on their categories of interest and their pathways.
We'll pay the first, and we'll pay initial users to get that data in there so we can get to the network effect.
thank you. My question is around your subscription model and your ad-based model. So what was the considerations that you had to balance that you actually do the subscription model versus trying to get full penetration and reach so that you can go to the ad model sooner?
So, can you say that again?
Yeah, so you mentioned both the subscription model, which would be, you would be asking university students to pay a subscription or going towards an ad model. What were the considerations that you've had for, subscriptions and having university students paying versus accelerating your users on your platform first and then going directly to an ad model?
Yeah, that's exactly what we want to do. We want to get enough students so we have enough data, and then have enough users on the platform so then local retailers will want to pay to tap into that market. So we just need to get enough people where retailers will be interested.
But to be able to support the platform and our operations in the beginning, we will have a very modest amount of $10 per year for students to be part, but we actually hope that universities will pay per head rather than students themselves.
If I can just add something, we would be looking at like a premium subscription, but that would take some time, right, to identify which features of the platform people might be willing to pay for, right? So with that, then we would consider a subscription based on premium functions and features.
And we also have to see if people are willing to pay the subscription versus the ad revenue model.
Thanks for that. I was wondering why starting with grad students first, and then also based on this subscription model, then the life cycle of, or the life term, I guess, of a customer would be 2 to 4 years maximum, or what are you thinking about the after?
So we're starting with graduate students because Stasha has done extensive research on graduate students, and then this year we hope to expand the research and learn the specific needs of undergraduates. And then the life cycle can go past that. It'll be also of interest for alumni, and they can also help incoming students reach out, like when you're researching a university that you want to attend, or like you're researching grad school, you can still reach out to alumni and other people. So the life cycle is essentially could be, a lifetime.
But also those who graduate, we expect new students to come in. So, and there has been a steady growth of student population through the years. So it will only grow through years.
I was curious to know what, you had showed the other LinkedIn and Facebook and those other things. What comes closest to, if at all, or just is it a massive gap? Because I know there are other social media means that people communicate on classes or programs. And so can you just talk a little bit about how this would be differentiated?
Yeah, it's really a blend of all of these. So for example, LinkedIn is professional, I would say closest to LinkedIn, but geared towards academia. And you can use the messaging, but that's not very strong. Students use Slack to message in classes. And then also there's Facebook, which is really good at social, and it does have some messaging as well, but it's really the power of all of these together. Students can go and learn about courses, they can learn about the professors, different majors, all of these things, and they can message each other on the app. And then they can also, ResearchGate is geared purely towards like publications, so we're adding in that academic aspect of it, and then there will also be sort of something similar to Yelp where students can reflect on classes.
Another question for you. So what are the various ways that you'll seek to collect feedback from potential users? And besides surveys, how would you imagine your collection of feedback that would inform your product design?
Okay, so we have planned in this development stage to pay the first 150 users and do really in-depth evaluation of the software, but also as we do that, we collect their data together to show how useful it could be. But another thing that we plan to do with this is actually to monitor these 150 students to see how well they do, to make a case for universities to show if hopefully they do better than other students. Maybe that's a use case for universities to pay for this software. But basically, as we develop, we will test it thoroughly, both qualitatively and quantitatively.
And also, as we launch the app too, we're going to be consistently collecting data from the users, similar to what Facebook does. Monitoring KPIs and making sure that people actively asking them while they're using the app for their feedback.
And we are aware that there is a possibility of spread of misinformation. So we have some systems in place that we thought of where people can flag if they think that somebody wants to point you to a professor saying that they are great when they maybe are not. But also there is a way that everybody can have their own experience of the course worth sharing.
Can you give us some explanation as to how you plan to use the seed money 60K as well as the 460K angel investment?
Yeah, so this 60K we have calculated based on the figures we got, estimate to develop the prototype and the first 20 or 15 screens of the prototype that we then plan to implement, gather data from grad students and develop further. Then as we show that this is a good app, we can actually have a functional prototype to show to angel investors, then ask for more money to start the version 1 that is going to be scalable to cover the whole university. Yeah, and marketing.
Yeah, and then that 460K will be the marketing, getting everything.
So you guys aren't taking any salary for the first couple of years?
We have one operations person salary for the first few years who will be paid this amount of money, but the rest of us will do it out of the goodness, out of the belief in the product.
Do you foresee with the increased utilization of AI tools like ChatGPT and Claude that you would incorporate some of those types of features within your product?
Oh, for sure, especially for gathering and inputting the data in, because I'm pretty sure that will save us some money that we planned before that was the big new thing. So yeah, especially for inputting data, but probably later on for analyzing all of this.
I was thinking about, I think technology is really great to maybe accelerate or make quicker networking capabilities for people. But it still doesn't replace the in-person connection and the trust that you build, because a lot of the maybe advice that you would be seeking or looking for would be best suited if the other person actually knows you and understands how you learn and what you're looking for. And so I just wondered, is this kind of like a second option? And then and oftentimes the best way to learn about which professors or which courses make the most sense are in some of those groups, professional or what do you call that, career type groups in the university.
Unfortunately, we don't have time to, but this is the first option for us. Okay, so actually this was the first option in the design for us, because really you can't show the relationship between people in any kind of software. So it's designed to point you towards people so you know who took which class, and then ask them, oh, is your supervisor a good mentor? Oh, how did you feel about this class? Because not everybody is going to leave a comment. So we're not going to even encourage people to leave comments. It's to make these connections. And then especially around live events, so we are planning for live events to be organized for the users of the platform, because we want them to make connections, these local links, after all.
If you notice on the screen, there was a click, there are 800 people going to the volleyball game, but also through messaging, through the Slack sort of messaging aspect of it. Being in the MBA program at Shidler, we very much text on Slack, and we say, oh, you guys want to hang out, or we need a study group. So designed to very much be social, not social media, but social.
I'm not sure how we're doing on time. Is it, are we out? Okay.
Oh, yeah. Okay,
Okay, our next team is the Anywhere Squeegee, by Mike Sepper of the National Security Innovation Network.
So, good morning judges, I'm Alex.
And I'm Eddie.
And our product is the Anywhere Squeegee.
So, before we talk about the Anywhere Squeegee, we wanted to talk about our backgrounds a little first. I've been playing competitive tennis since I was a kid, and I even at one point got to top 20 player in the Mid-Atlantic, which is on the East Coast, of course. I also went to a high school that had an engineering program, and that's where I learned skills in computer design.
So I've played tennis for 12 years, which is a long time. In high school I played the Puno varsity team, and in my senior season I was an I-League champ, and I was a former top 30 player in Hawaii. So with our experience, we identified one big problem with tennis, and it's that you can't play tennis on wet courts or if it's raining. This is because it creates a big slipping hazard and it can damage your equipment, like your shoes, your balls, your racket, which leads to you having to take a mandatory rain delay for the court to be completely dry. That's why we created the Anywhere Squeegee, so you can save time by bringing in a squeegee anywhere with you to any court. You can dry it off with ease, saving you the headache of a long rain delay.
So first we'll talk about the attractiveness of the market opportunity. As you know, tennis is an international sport, and as of 2019, there were 87 million players playing worldwide, 23.7 million of which were from the US. Tennis has also had 33% growth in the US since 2020, and that's 5.9 million new players. Now, the reason it's been growing is in part due to the pandemic, because people are wanting to play sports from farther apart. They also were watching more online because they're spending more time on their phones. Also, there was an uptick in youth sports. The tennis equipment market size is just under $4 billion in 2021 and had a compound annual growth rate of 2.2% from 2022 to 2030. A similar market that we also plan to expand into is the pickleball market. It's very parallel to it. It has a market size of $1.32 billion and a compound annual growth rate of 10.2% from 2022 to 2032. Now, the problem with normal squeegees is that they're clunky and not very space efficient because they can't really fit in your average mid-sized sedan, your average car. They also are only commonly available at clubs and schools like the privately owned tennis courts. They're also very expensive at $100 minimum just to own, which is why we decided to create the Anywhere Squeegee. Its unique selling point is its transportability, because it has a collapsible handle. You want to show them? Yeah. Oh. A collapsible. Oh, sorry. It has a collapsible handle, and also removable squeegee blades.
Sorry, it's a little finicky. Can I go back, please? 2 slides? 1 slide? It's not working. Sorry, guys. Sorry about that.
As you can see,
yeah. So,
oh boy.
Go back to the beginning. Whoops.
Sorry.
Here we go.
So it has removable squeegee blades on either side, so that it maintains the same size as an ordinary squeegee. This is the proof of concept, and it also will be able to fit inside your tennis racket bag, because the focus on portability and convenience.
So now for the value created by a product. Whoops. So the main group that we're creating value for is tennis players, obviously, but also their parents, their coaches, as well as other tournament sites and directors that have problems with their rating. Another market that we can target is, of course, outdoor sports like pickleball, volleyball, basketball. They all have outdoor courts with the asphalt surface that can benefit from a product like ours. So right now we're actually utilizing local talent, and we found 2 students at the College of Engineering in UH, and their names are Kendall and Peter, and they helped us to make this prototype here we have today. And the main things that they helped us with was the floating blade compaction system, and then the computer-aided design and the 3D printing. So going forward, our main focus is going to work on the engineering and the manufacturing of it, and then create a formal blueprint for this product. So we did some market research, and we took a survey with 39 tennis and pickleball players. We found that 3 out of 4 people have problems with the rain, and furthermore, 4 out of 5 people do not have consistent squeegee access when they play tennis. Sorry. Oh, it's so finicky. So, furthermore, we found that 80% of people would use a portable squeegee like ours. And when asked about the price, the biggest group was that they would pay $50, about 56%, and the second biggest group would pay up to $20 for a product, at 31-ish. So now for our competitive advantage of our venture. So the Anywhere Squeegee will be a disruptor in the market. It's portable, it's convenient, and it's cost-effective. And with the unique selling point of being able to be folded down and carried anywhere, it's very convenient for all players. We want to change squeegees from being static to more mobile, not fixed at one location. And we also want to change the demographic. As of right now, only big clubs and other schools own these things. We want it to be accessible to the individual tennis player. So we created a product opportunity gap chart, and as you can see, there's a lot of options in the top left-hand side. They're more expensive and less mobile, but they're just simply not feasible. They're too bulky and you can't bring them anywhere. However, on the bottom right-hand side, they're more mobile and they're cheaper, but they're not built to withstand tennis court conditions, and they're not marketed towards the tennis audience. So we estimate we can get a working prototype, a final one, in 6 months, and then bring it to market within 1 year. This will include die casting and engineering as well as manufacturing. And for our distribution method, we plan to do so through brick and mortar retail as well as online retail. So for brick and mortar, we think that local tennis shops, having pop-up events at local tournaments and tennis events here, as well as selling through our network will be very good. And for the online segment, Amazon, Tennis Warehouse, Tennis Express, these are bigger sport equipment retailers, and we can expand our audience through these methods.
We'll quickly go over our operational and technical viability. So our goal is to engineer and patent the redesign of the classic squeegee. Design patents cost approximately $1,500 to $3,000 and take around 22 months to get. A finished prototype, we estimate will take from $2,000 to $3,000. It's a very low number for R&D, but we expect that because it's very cost-effective materials and the mechanics we already kind of know. So we'll quickly go over the capability of our management team as well. Our relevant management skills are that we both have a lot of tennis experience. We know the industry very well. We know just about everyone in our region, so it's a very big benefit to us. We also have entrepreneurship experience through Alex and his going through the Breakthrough Innovation Challenge last semester. I also have computer-aided design experience from the high school I went to. And our gap is that we need to seek outside resources for product design, manufacturing, and intellectual property ownership.
So now we're going to go over to some of the numbers and the financials of this venture. So we estimate that we'll need around $30,000 for this total venture. We aim to raise it through crowdfunding, angel investors, as well as venture capitalists. The equity split is 60% with me, 40% with Eddie, and we think that we'll be profitable very quickly in 1 year due to our little R&D and our high profit margins that we'll get into right now, actually, with our pricing breakdown. So we'll sell this product at $39.99. Our cost of goods sold per unit is going to be around $18.48, leaving us with a gross profit margin of about 54%. The sales to pay back the initial $30,000 would be $1,003 when we did the math. So now for our financial forecasting. So like I said, high return, the market's international. There's a big need for this. And we started off with a more of a middle-of-the-road projection with 10% of players in Hawaii. And as you can see, it scales up pretty quickly with around 115 units in sales in year 4. And we also took the time to create other sort of projections. And we had a more of a baseline approach as well as a more optimistic level in case just to see any possibilities. And the baseline forecast, we started 5% of players in Hawaii. And similar thing, it has almost 16,000 units in year 2, and by year 4 it's netting almost 1.5 million with around 56,000 in sales. As for an optimistic forecast, that'd be 15% of players in all of Hawaii, and as you can see again, it does scale up, and by year 4 we'll ideally be selling 170,000 of these units as it expands. So that's it for our presentation. Actually, we have a conclusion. No, it is, I guess it's done now to our time. So yeah, any questions? We'll just go to the next slide.
I was wondering, you were talking about a year to further finish your product, or finish the actual product design, and then 22 months for the patent. So when you talk about your projections, and when is year 1? Is year 1 after you get all of that, or?
Yeah, year 1 will be like a full year after done selling. So
you're thinking like 3 years from now is year 1?
2 years-ish, around there. As soon as possible though.
Yeah, so when I was hearing your presentation, I was wondering what's so special about the product. And lots of times consumers are making the choices based on quality, price, supply, or innovation. I'm figuring the innovation and kind of the cost is what you're stressing is the reason why people want to buy this. But to be honest with you, I see it looks like a mop that I can just unscrew the head off. What's so special about it compared to what's out there right now?
So currently, we've been playing tennis for a long time. We know the ins and outs of the sport. And a regular tennis squeegee can actually be around the size of the stand right here. You can't break it down, and it's only at 1 court. There's no way you're bringing this in your car, right? So what our value proposition is, what really makes us unique, is the fact that you can break this down into parts and make it smaller, and it's going to be the size of 27 inches or smaller. The size of an adult tennis racket, meaning you can put it in any bag that you bring around, you can just throw it in your car, you can bring it anywhere, and it's something that, it's a big issue. You can't play tennis when it rains, so it's obviously something that a lot of players need.
We should also mention that this is only one of the blades. We intend to have one more on each side. So that's part of our design, is that we'll be able to fold both sides and put it in your racket bag.
I think some of the questions might come from understanding the issues with rain on the court, and that it really does totally stop play for safety reasons. So I'm a parent of a tennis player, so I understand the issue. What I think is really interesting is, can you talk a little bit about what you're trying to do as a self-service mechanism? So you see it in other aspects of tennis products, for example, ball picker uppers and different things. Could you just talk a little bit about what you see in that space beyond just the squeegee? Because I think that might help us understand what the demand might be.
So other things, and I guess similar to this product, so as Anne said, there's a lot of self-help options. So there's a ball, a tube you can pick up the balls with. There's a lot of ball carts, you can kind of bring your stuff on the court, and then there's a lot of more niche things as well that helps you kind of get a better tennis experience, all about the customer experience. So of course these all help to, they're more convenient. They basically they save time, and it just kind of relieves a headache that a player would have, and it just makes playing tennis a lot more convenient.
So pickleball is really huge now, right? And I want to go out to the Ala Moana courts and start playing pickleball, but it rained the day before. If I'm using your squeegee, how long will it take me to squeegee the courts?
Well, it should operate just the same as an ordinary squeegee. So if you have multiple people carrying an Anywhere Squeegee, then you'll have, it shouldn't take too long, maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes to squeegee off every little puddle, just to make sure it's, fully squeegeed out and there's nothing to slip on.
Great, and that leads to my next question. How will you measure the quality of the product as you prototype? And you try to measure how fast is it? What is the criteria for which this is an excellent product versus something that you could, get at a Home Depot?
Well, I think of course we have to match the industry standard, which is your ordinary squeegee. So I think that's going to be our first metric is, does it do the same job as the ordinary squeegee? So that one's probably not too hard to test. You just go out there with a normal squeegee and our squeegee and see how well it does or how well it fares, I guess. But I don't anticipate it being all that different, considering they're very similar in design.
Can you explain to us a little bit about your distribution channel, or how do you plan to market the product, and through what channels do you plan to sell it?
So the tennis community here in Hawaii is like very close-knit. Like a lot of people, they go to the same shop and they go to a lot of the same events. So I think primarily when we start here in Hawaii, we can start going to these events and have like a pop-up, like we said. And then we can try to reach out to these local stores, and then we can sell through there. As a lot of people, there's a lot of traffic that goes through them. And as well as like going through our local network. So I know like a lot of people that play, like I know a lot of like high ranking like juniors, as well as the coaches, as well as other people. So I think going through there is going to be good. And then expanding on that, once you get a little bit bigger, using like, you know, online methods, of course, and trying to broker deals to get placed on these bigger tennis equipment websites will really help to expand their reach and to get more well-known, more audience. So like Tennis Warehouse, Tennis Express, I personally buy products from there, like shoes, rackets, grips, and everything. So they're sites that have a lot of traction from tennis users.
Thank you. And then also the financials, that was only for sales in Hawaii, or did you include in year 4 or 5, whatever, international expansion or anything like that?
Yeah, so originally based off of like how much you can sell here, but obviously as you expand, you actually, you know, you gain more customers from other parts of the world and even the country. So yeah, later on it'll eventually expand to other parts, not just Hawaii.
Not yet, but
the numbers that you had.
Yeah.
But the numbers that you showed were only Hawaii.
Yeah, it's there, Hawaii.
I was curious, I know you're in prototype phase, but like from a practical standpoint, from a customer user experience, once you squeegee the courts, like how do you're gonna have a repository or something to hold the wet squeegee, right? So just curious what your thoughts are as you develop the product, because you wouldn't want to throw a wet squeegee in your bag.
Oh, so like you're asking like how you can dry it?
Dry it or carry it once you've actually used it. Have you talked to customers or potential users about how they think about the actual experience, not just in the squeegeeing itself, but the after transport?
So yeah, you can.
So the rubber blades actually are very different from the some of the squeegees that you see. Some squeegees are like roller squeegees, and those hold the water very well. And those ones we don't intend to go for because they, again, hold the water, so you can't really put it inside your racket bag after use. But the rubber blades like this don't really carry water very well. Like it just kind of wicks off. And so you can, with our squeegee, it won't necessarily be as much of a problem for drying it. But I know originally we had thought of putting a hook on there as well, just for ease of use. But I don't think we'll be needing that for our finished prototype.
I was wondering who your demographic you're focusing on. I know you focused on the 5%, you said. Is it going to be primarily, because it has to be folks who would push really hard through rain to want to play and instead of go home or go somewhere else, and then willing to pay $40 and have something else in their car. So just wondering who's that person you're looking for?
I think that generally any person who likes to play tennis or pickleball or whatever sport, like of course, if it's your hobby, you're passionate about it, then if it starts to rain, you just don't want to go home, you just want to keep playing, especially like, I know me personally, I've been really busy, I haven't had time to play a lot, so the few times that I have been, when it gets rained out, it's like really frustrating. So I think anybody that just wants to continue playing, of course, can like use this product, and it'll be like very convenient. It's like something that can like help them to continue their passion, to like, you know, just get back on the court. It's very easy. It's like a very easy fix to the solution as well. So
I'd also like to expand on that. Like we said earlier in the presentation, we also plan to go into the pickleball market as well. So that's just another demographic that we plan to go towards. Any asphalt surface will be used for Anywhere Squeegee.
So I'm sure you assumed production when you came up with your cost analysis. Where do you plan to produce this, and how many were you going to make to come up with your $18.90 cost?
So we actually made estimates off of prices and parts that we pulled from like other sites such as like Alibaba. They have the individual parts. So of course, We don't have a direct quote yet. I feel like that'd be a little bit hard to make without the engineering. However, once you scale it up to maybe like a couple of, like, you know, a little bit more than a couple of thousand, then I think like that will help to, you know, increase their economies of scale, as well as it just creates, it's much cheaper when you buy it in bulk. So I think as of right now, we're basing estimates off of each individual part. So.
Thank you.
Next up is Zingipop Sodaworks, coached by Janelle Bremer of Good Clean Food Hawaii.
All right, good morning everyone. We are so excited to be here and have this opportunity to share our business with you today. My name's Amelia, this is Adam, and we are the co-owners of a local craft soda company called Zingipop Sodaworks.
So if you've been out to eat at a restaurant with some friends, or went out to a bar or to a brewery to have some drinks, and everybody's drinking some fancy cocktails and some nice draft beer, maybe there's one or two of the people in the group who aren't drinking alcohol. What they'll quickly find is there's very few local non-alcoholic options available to them. Our solution at Zingipop Sodaworks is a new type of craft beverage that takes advantage of Hawaii's diverse range of fruits, roots, and herbs to create a variety of rotating seasonal flavors that are highly carbonated, so you take advantage of the very refreshing quality here in Hawaii, as well as lightly sweetened with local raw honey. And now all of our ingredients are 100% locally sourced, and what's great is that here in Hawaii we have such a diverse range of ingredients we can use. We can do old school classics like pog, or our lilikoi ginger beer, or some more uncommon flavors like poha basil, or calamansi long gone hibiscus. There's a huge diversity, and what's great is that all of our sodas make a point to use substantially less sugar than traditional soda. Typically about half the sugar of like a Coca-Cola, or even other craft sodas like Fever Tree that you'll find in the store. And what's great is that this helps us live by our ethos of taking better care of our bodies and our islands. So we don't use any preservatives, we use minimal high quality ingredients in our sodas, and we make a point to only sell our sodas to other small local, or not necessarily small, local businesses, keeping in mind that 100% of our ingredients are local. It makes our product very appealing.
So you may be thinking, oh no, the beverage market is already very oversaturated. But it's actually an exciting market because the pandemic really encouraged people to seek out healthier, non-alcoholic alternatives and also buy more local products. So when we look at the craft soda market, it's actually expected to grow at a compound annual growth rate of 5% over the next 8 years to reach over $1 billion by 2030. And if you look at the more general non-alcoholic market as a whole, it's actually expected to grow at a compound annual growth rate of 6.5% for the next 6 years. So it's on the up and up, and we've calculated our market ceiling. So if we're able to penetrate 65% of the businesses on Oahu that we think we can sell to, our target market looks to be about 3.4 million just on Oahu. And as we look to expand towards the mainland, we're looking at almost $2 billion. So in order to get there, we need a strong sales and marketing plan. We will principally be selling our sodas in 12-ounce aluminum cans and select 6-still kegs to bars and breweries that we know have tap space available for our product. We're projected to have 20 established accounts by the end of the year. We've conducted a few private events already, and we are coordinating some pop-ups with mixologists to create Zingipop-inspired cocktails and mocktails, and also we want to collaborate with local distilleries. We will also conduct some direct-to-consumer sales through our social media page and also our website, where customers can pick up our product at different locations throughout the island.
And if you are trying to find, thank you. And if you are trying to find an option at the store, probably limited to the Maui Brewing Company sodas. They have a root beer and a ginger beer. Once again, more like a traditional soda with very high sugar content and obviously very few options. Then you've got things like Mono Brewing Company. They're a new business here in Honolulu that makes a mamaki tea. You know, kind of a niche product, whereas we've got such a diversity of different flavors to choose from. Sky Kombucha, they make great products. They package them in glass bottles. One of the great things about our soda is that we're packaging in the 12-ounce aluminum cans that are manufactured in Kapolei at the ball plant. We also aren't restricted to a brick and mortar space like Aloha Ginger Beer on Kauai. It restricts their ability to distribute substantially. On the other end of the spectrum, the ones who are distributed widely are typically imports, a lot of them international, so about as non-local as you can get. Whereas we are the opposite end of the spectrum. I'd like to think we're as local as you can get. And speaking of being local, our warehouse space is right there in Kalihi. We have a fully built out production space with a large batch already made in the tank. We are available on tap at Paradise Ciders in Mililani, our only customer right now. We have verbal commitments from several other establishments, most of them brewery connections, to take on our product when it's ready. We have taken the opportunity to conduct several private events, which is a great opportunity to get some customer feedback, especially from people who maybe were scared off by the idea of a soda. A lot of people, you know, don't like traditional soda because it's too sweet for them, but people who tried our soda were surprised because it was very different. Our customers who've tried it at the tap room have, well, it's performed very well compared to other local non-alcoholic options. And what's great is that if you don't like one of the flavors, there's going to be another flavor coming soon that's very different.
All right, so Adam is our operations manager. He's spent the past few years helping build a local brewery and also learning how to brew on a large-scale system. And he is also our purchaser because he has an extensive agriculture background and many connections with farmers throughout the islands. I'm a Navy veteran with a project management background, and this semester I've been working on a certificate of entrepreneurship along with an associate's in accounting. So I will be heading up our finances and marketing. So, like Adam said, we already created our first large-scale batch, and this week we've been launching our marketing campaign. We're providing the samples from our large-scale batch to our potential customers in preparation for our soft opening on May 20th. So Zingipop Sodaworks has started out with no initial debt. We've actually invested over $60,000 of our own money into the company so far. So we're expecting a positive net profit starting in February of 2024 with about $60,000 in sales for year one and $170,000 for year two. So in order to reach our goals and as we see positive trends in our company, we're going to need some additional funding to reach those goals. We want to scale up our production equipment to include a canning line. And we also want to incorporate additional product lines from leftover fruit products. And by the 5-year mark, we want to open a Zingipop dedicated brick and mortar space, as well as expand our brand to the mainland. So the market is pretty attractive locally, and the problem is real. Zingipop's in a unique position to solve this problem and be successful doing so. So we'd like to conclude our presentation with a sample of our Lilikoi ginger soda for you all.
And I am going to provide a disclaimer because these were canned 2 days ago, a day ago. They are the first cans out of our big batch, and as such, I'm dealing with some small issues scaling from a 5-gallon to a 150-gallon batch. Specifically, the sediment that accumulates on the bottom. I can flip my 5-gallon keg, but trying to flip the 150-gallon tank doesn't work very well. So the sediment, you'll see on the can that we have, it says fruit on the bottom. There's no fruit on the bottom right now. Hopefully there will be. But realistically, it does give you a sense of like the sweetness or lack thereof compared to like traditional sodas, and also shows off the label that I'm very proud of.
Everybody know honey allergies?
then you're probably. So, anybody like ginger beer? Yeah? Because this is sort of our take on a ginger beer. It's a little bit different in that it has Lilliput, so give it a bit of a local character. Oh yeah, here. Don't want to exclude you folks. Yeah, so the secret to this is really just simplicity, right? We have all of our ingredients right here on the can, and we actually have also the farms that they came from on there as well. This way.
I guess while you're pouring, I'll ask some questions here. So I'm curious about your financials and your food cost as well as your waste, considering the fact that there aren't any preservatives in the drink itself. What % of your food waste is going to be just natural because it is a fruit product in Hawaii?
So the neat thing about our products is that we actually like a lot of cinnamon, so we try to get as much out of the fruit as we possibly can. So there isn't a lot of waste as of right now that we've really seen. We've been able to incorporate a lot of it, and we've been experimenting with other fruits to see how we can preserve those. So in terms of financials for that, I'm not sure the exact percentages to what we would.
Well, so for the fruit waste itself, it's pretty minimal. There's just like seeds. Certain fruits don't use your skins, etc., etc. We're composting all of that. And what's great is that because we're using all of the fruit to process, it allows us to purchase B-grade products from the farmers. So the farmers love us because we'll take their ugly fruit, and we actually like it because we get it cheaper. It's an opportunity. Farmers are always looking for that added value product that saves them food waste, right, in the end.
I had a question about, so I guess it's two-part. One, we know it's really difficult in Hawaii to do business, and especially relying on agriculture. So there's a lot of variability in what you're actually going to get, and then also challenges with preservative and shelf life and all the things related to that. So just thinking about the cost, of course, it's going to be probably higher. And then in order to really start making a profit, you'd have to export, most likely. And if so, are you branding it as a Hawaii company or a Hawaii product? Because I'm assuming that the competition on the continent or globally is much more fierce than here. And then how does your name kind of reflect that?
You're very right. The competition is much more substantial on the mainland or abroad. There's two things. One is that at the very heart of our business is the idea of being local. So we're not precluding the idea of expanding to the mainland. In fact, there's some serious appeals because that will allow us to essentially take the same business model and apply it to another area. Say, for instance, California, that has a huge diversity of agricultural products that we could use. So the same idea of using local products would be applied in that area, and I really like the idea of being able to share, right? So if you have a sister spot in somewhere else that has very different ingredients, it allows you to. It's tough though, because I still, part of me really does associate this with Hawaii, but you're very right that it's not easy doing ag in Hawaii. And there is some inevitable uncertainty, but that's part of the reason why I wanted to start the business, is because in some ways we're just trying to act as a support for Hawaii ag.
Yeah, to follow up, so how'd you come up with the name?
So Zingipop, Zingiber officinale is the scientific genus for ginger. We had originally started out as Zingibir, but we soon found out with trademark laws and everything else that that name was not going to work for us. So we went and looked at Zingipop instead. It also has a much better focus on soda as the name. So pop, soda, and so that's where we kind of started out with our
Great,
name.
and then can you explain a little bit about the unique situation maybe as we're based in Hawaii with canning facilities? I think there's one, right, as you mentioned, or I saw on a TikTok or something, you know, the difference of the cans in the mainland versus Hawaii, how it has one rim and different size because everyone uses the same canning facility. Can you expand and explain a little bit about that?
Definitely. Actually, you'll notice that Maui Brewing Company just recently started shipping some of the, because they have another production facility on the mainland, like a lot of ones do, and they've actually started shipping some of their cans here. And you can tell which ones are shipped, because exactly that. We have these old school cans. You can see the fluting on them right here. So this is, I don't remember when they built the plant, but the Kapolei ball plant is pretty old school. And it's fabulous that it's here, because otherwise you're talking about a huge additional cost in shipping. Because not only does glass weigh 1 million pounds, but aluminum cans, even though they're very light, they take up a huge amount of space. So not only do we get huge savings, but you're also talking about saving a lot of fossil fuel, getting all of those materials here.
I was curious about shelf life, right? So I think you pride yourself on one of your missions is using local ingredients and also without preservatives. So is there a chance of future innovation around that? Because if you do want to go off Hawaii, or even for purchasers to feel like they could keep the product longer.
Yes, definitely. I'll let Adam answer this because he has more.
She did the work though. She found some really interesting natural preservative options. Like they have those extracts from mushrooms that they do, and there's a couple other interesting natural preservative options out there that we were investigating. Part of the reason well, obviously A, they're pretty expensive, B, they're not made here, which is a bummer, and C, it's one of those things, you just add another ingredient on, right? And I'm trying really hard not to. But I think you're right. I think that is something that if we want to share these things with more people, we're going to have to come up with ways to make that happen.
Another question. So on the products that you were sharing, there are not that many in terms of competition, but there is competition in restaurants that make their own concoctions. So with the whole shelf life and price points, why would they want to do this versus just continuing to make their own? Is there some kind of compelling difference?
We save them time and hopefully money and effort in going out and sourcing all of those things themselves. They already have this and it's an easy mixer to use or just serve by itself. So I think it's just making sure they like our product and that it would be a good time saver for them.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, my limited knowledge of restaurant beverages, it always seems like you're either with Coca-Cola or with Pepsi, right? And then so how much enforcement by the restaurants, like, unless you're branded with one of these guys, we're not going to take you in. Is there any resistance that way? Or can you sell to any restaurant and they're like, fine, yeah, we have Coca-Cola product, we can also carry whatever else you want?
So part of the way that we make our product more appealing to in particular, restaurants and bars with less tap space. Breweries, usually there's no shortage of taps, but a lot of spaces you're limited in terms of taps, and that's why soda is always separate, right? It's on a soda gun. And so we are trying to make it very clear that we are a very different product than anything you're going to get out of that soda gun. And as such, then you're looking at a lot of places have mixers already in the fridge, whether it's a Fever Tree or a Bundaberg, they have that in the fridge. And what we need to do is convince them that our product, which has a higher premium, is worth that additional investment. And what we're finding is that a lot of places that do already make their own in-house options, they're very expensive. You're talking anywhere from $6 to $10 for a house-made soda. And as such, you can see the amount of effort that they're putting in to make that soda. So it is one of those things where the niche is, you have to find it, because it's not necessarily on a tap, and it's not necessarily in the fridge. It may be somewhere in between.
We just have 1 minute, so quick question. Obviously this is geared towards people who are going to bars and restaurants and maybe adults opting not to have alcoholic beverages, but there's this whole world of kids that end up at restaurants and bars and pay $8 to $10 for Italian sodas or those types of things. Curious what your thoughts on are broadening, or would that dilute the brand? Is this really meant to be an adult beverage?
That's a very good question, and you know, it strikes at the heart of, you know, craft beverage, right? Can everybody enjoy a craft beverage, or do you have to go to a brewery to enjoy it? So it's tricky because I want everybody to be able to enjoy it. Certainly kids. I mean, the idea of a kid drinking this instead of Coke or Sprite or whatever, it's, you know, you can't help but think that that's a major improvement. That being said, you don't want, well, you're never going to sell it like it's Coke because it costs way more. And so you need to make sure that you're finding those customers who value that additional quality over quantity. Oh, perfect.
Okay, our last team is Motion Management, coached by Masato Ito of Brookfield Properties.
Hi everyone, my name is Julie. I'm the founder and CEO of Motion Management.
Hi, I'm Richard. I'm the Director of Partnerships.
I'm Heather, the Director of Media.
Hi everyone, I'm Devin and I'm the Director of Finance.
Hi, I'm Joanne. I'm the Assistant Manager. And we are Motion Management.
So what is Motion Management? Motion Management is a management firm that is catered to extreme sports athletes here in Hawaii, specifically water sports athletes. We manage 3 different tiers of athletes: amateur, semi-professional, and professional. With the age of social media, you don't have to be the best in your sport to make it a career. I'm sure every one of us has had a passion that we've given up on. But now, with social media, you don't have to. You can make it your career. When it comes to being an athlete in the field, there's 5 major issues that they tend to run in. The first is the issue of income. Whether you're a professional or an aspiring amateur, being able to make sustainable, substantive income in the field is very difficult. Again, through personal branding and social media, you don't have to be dependent on sponsorship contracts to make a living from this. But what comes with that is knowledge. What Motion Management is able to offer is an extensive amount of knowledge that is catered to personal branding. This can be extensive of monetization on social media, personal branding through merchandising, or different types of monetization through YouTube revenue. In addition to this is the issue of representation. When athletes go to bat in conversations with sponsors, being able to represent themselves can come off egotistical, or you run the risk of not being able to properly represent yourself, again with the issue of knowledge. Many of these athletes are well versed in their fields and in their sports, but when it comes to negotiating these contracts, it's not their field. Being able to mitigate themselves as a business is not their wheelhouse. Again, another issue comes time. When it comes to the component of time, these athletes are dedicating themselves not only to being the best in their sports, but to simply trying to level up. Or, in addition to this, they could be a mom or working another job on the side. What we can do is take off the time of mitigating your career. In addition to this is creativity. Some athletes may excel in creative disposition and aesthetic influence on their social media, but they might not have the knowledge to be able to creatively develop social media campaigns, or again, campaigns with other brands. We've already been able to put our model into practice with 2 current clients. Our first was Johnny, better known as Johnny the Ripper, a 19-year-old Waikiki race longboarder. He's incredibly good at what he does, and he had 45,000 followers on social media. But with having that many followers on social media, he struggled to figure out how to make a true brand out of this. In addition to this, he's being taken advantage of left and right in the industry when it came to contract negotiations, as many people saw him as just a kid. In just a short 6 months, we were able to generate $36,000 in gross value in income for him. After working with Johnny, we were able to acquire our second client, Enchante, a professional freediver. She's a 5-time national champion who's on her way to try and win a world record. She's not only a 32-year-old professional freediver, but she's also a mother. So when she's not traveling or competing in competitions around the globe, she comes home to her family and she wants to spend time with her kids, not figure out how to make sure her career is sustainable and truly her dreams can be a reality. In a short 3 months, we were able to generate $14,350 in gross value and income.
So for our target market, we decided to break it up into 3 categories: amateurs, semi-professional, and professional, with a large focus on our amateur sector. We believe this is beneficial both to those athletes as well as ourselves, because larger, more established firms on the mainland or internationally look out for name recognition, reputation that these smaller athletes don't have. We also want to promote a sense of community between all of our athletes, where the more established athletes in their careers are able to help out the younger ones who look up to them so that they can improve their career together rather than competing against each other.
So our customer discovery. When it comes to discovering customers, there's many ways to go about and do it. The first here is when it comes to the surf industry or the water sports industry, it's very intertwined. If you know the surf community, you know that everyone knows each other. So what's been super important in making our way into this is being able to gain the trust of other people, other athletes as well as brands in the industry. In addition to this, understanding that here on the South Shore of Oahu, we have a wide variety of clientele available to us. If you go to Queens, you'll see the next generation of longboard talent paddling hand in hand with the world's best longboarders. In addition to this, you go to Kaisers, Fours, Threes, or Ala Moana Bowls, you'll see the next generation of shortboard talent, again with some of the uncles teaching them the ways of the wave. On top of this, you can also go to Tongs and see a lot of professional foilers as well as different types of water sports athletes beyond foiling, surfing, or freediving. In addition to this, when you go and attend these competitions, you're able to interact one-on-one with these athletes and see the next prospective talent. Here on Oahu, we have not only amateur talent, but we also have senior levels of talent in competitions. What you'll see here is a list of prospective clients who've expressed interest in our services through no direct marketing. This has been through word of mouth of people interacting with us on the boards.
So as we sort of mentioned throughout the presentation, our location is a great advantage for us as the water sports industry is huge here in Hawaii. So we would also be able to meet athletes at the start of their careers as well. And of course, we have our first mover advantage since there's no existing competitors here. Of course, there's ones located in like mainland and such. However, centrally here in Hawaii, we would be the first. We also have a low cost structure with minimal overhead costs, and of course the existing success from Johnny and currently Ajante.
It's important to highlight that with the first mover advantage, we're able to catch talent when they're young. We're able to help the Groms take their careers to the next level, again through personal branding and teaching them resources that they might not have had readily available to them. What you'll see here is our current business model. It's important to highlight this is subject to negotiation and based on a case-by-case basis. What you'll see is our amateur package on the surface. On our amateur package, we offer it at a rate of $750 for 3 months. This will provide you with a content package that you're able to distribute on your social media social media channels through a recommended content strategy with a personalized manager. What we want to see from our amateur clients is that they truly want this, that they're passionate about making this their career. In addition to this, we can offer this to a little bit of a larger target market by being able to create a product where individuals can come to us to be partnered with the best water sports photographers in the game. On our semi-professional level package of diving deeper, it'll include a more extensive manager basis in which we'll work more with personal branding, being able to negotiate with different brands, as well as coming up with competition recommendations, research funding, or athletic planning. Again, this is a more intensive package as it's offered for the individual who's trying to make this their fully professional career. Then you will have our official In the Depths package, which is the professional level, and that is our all-extensive, all-inclusive package where we're truly there to support and sustain the athlete's career, either during their professional or post-career.
Through a bootstrap method, by the end of month 24, we're looking at around $20,000 of monthly revenue with 43 clients. By the end of 2 years, we're looking at a net profit of $200,000.
The numbers you see are based off of a fixed concept of our model. Now, when it comes to scalability, we have 3 touch points of scalability that are available to us. The first is the ability to branch into other sports. After honing in on the water sports industry and truly doing what we do and doing it well, we would be able to differentiate into other sports such as cliff diving, skydiving, martial arts, or skateboarding. The islands are available to us with individuals who truly dedicate themselves to pushing themselves to the extreme. In addition to this, our true goal would be in 5 to 7 years to generate enough revenue to create a production and training facility where we're able to have all of our athletes under one roof, to truly have an ohana that's able to pass down knowledge from the top tier athlete to the amateur who's aspiring to make this happen. In addition to that, we hope that we'd be able to do in-house production for the athletes to again be able to leverage on their social media. Once honing in and doing that well, we have the potential to be able to differentiate ourselves into new locations, again into other sports, potentially entering the snowboard or skiing market. Duke Kahanamoku brought surfing to the world 100 years ago. What he did is he understood the importance of the ocean. He understood what it brings. It brings healing, clarity, connection. It allows us to be able to find ourselves. And truly what you'll see here in Oahu is a number of athletes who are dedicated to the water. They know the value of it. They understand how important it is to them. What we want to truly be able to do is make what was seemingly impossible, possible. Being able to turn your passions into a career. All of Polynesia has viewed the ocean as a touch point of connection. It is one ocean. The only people who have separated it is human beings. And what we aspire to be here at Motion Management is that point of connection to the ocean for our athletes here in Hawaii to the world beyond. Thank you.
Thanks. I had a couple of questions. One is just a more brief question and then a second one. So the first is just curious how you think about exclusivity or non-competes. So maybe the amateur market, not as big of a deal, but as you move up the scale to professionals, you might be representing people in the same sport. And then you talked a lot about your access to potential clients, but also curious how you're building yourself as a center of influence with sponsors or those that would actually provide contracts and sponsorship for clients.
Absolutely. So you will see we have our existing brand relationships. So these are brands that are already available to us. What we do want to make an intensive focus on here with the brands is working with sustainable brands as well as local brands and branching out to major brand sponsors. I also am in contact with bigger sponsors such as Bruca. And then when it comes to exclusivity, are you saying in regards to management or in regards to brands that they're working with?
I guess either or. It just gets, I think as you build your brand, then people want to work exclusively with you, but specifically my question was about your clientele.
Okay, so when it comes to clientele, that's where we wanted to instill the Ohana mindset. What we're hoping is that athletes would want their manager to be working with multiple intel. What comes into concern is the problem of access to information, so it's making sure that as a manager you have non-disclosure between client to client, which is a contract that is actively in place. When it comes to exclusivity of representation, if we foresee that being an issue down the line, we could hire an additional manager to mitigate what could be a foreseeable issue with competitors. But again, as much as they are competitors, you have literal brothers who are competing against themselves in the professional surf industry, and as much as it is competitive, it's still supportive, and that's what we're hoping to curate here at Motion Management.
How are you targeting your clientele?
So
you represent?
So we're able to target our clientele directly in the water. Quite literally, I have 9, 10, 15-year-olds paddling up to me in the water asking me, hey, how do I do this? With the clients that we're currently working with, for example, Johnny, it is a reputable name in the industry that kids know who he is. It's the same thing with Enchante when it comes to the freediving world. So really, because of how interconnected and intertwined it is, you have these athletes coming to us being like, hey, how do I do this? And what has been so important for us is gaining the trust of these athletes in the industry. I mean, it takes a lot of work to be able to have these athletes trust you not only with their career, but I mean, this is their livelihood. And then again, when you have parents coming to you asking, hey, how do I help make this possible for my kid? It truly is just being able to make these really intentional connections through communication, like direct communication.
Yeah, and a follow-up to that, it's intriguing that you're looking at NCAA and that opening up with NIL. Folks that have come here, maybe their freshman year, and they're going to be looking at these water sports, how are you targeting them?
So that would be on college campuses, in the classroom recruiting, it'd be scouting as well, just like going out in the same way that you'd have an agent go out and scout different NBA players or MLB players. You could also have us go ahead and we send out scouts who are looking at collegiate athletes or even social media. You can see on social media a general trend of how these athletes are doing and who's paying attention to them and how much they're paying attention to and how passionate they are for it. Again, what we're super relatively gauging is, Are you passionate about what you're doing? Do you believe in what you're doing so we can help you believe in it even more?
I'm presuming your management business is a people-intensive business. It's high touch. You need to cater to your professional, semi-professional athletes. But I'm wondering, how do you plan to incorporate automation and software to improve efficiency?
Absolutely. So when it comes to AI systems that are currently in place, we're learning how to use them hand in hand with different managers as well as the assistants to them. In addition to this, what we're hoping to do is have optimized processes when it comes to social media management, being able to have automated AI intelligent plans that can sit here and give a content plan to an individual athlete. In addition to this, I think AI and the development of that has just only assisted us in being able to optimize our processes for the athletes in regards to editing, video editing. Like what is available to us is automatically, in the last 3 months, has grown exponentially.
I was wondering who maybe it's not exact competition because it sounds like you have a really unique model, the whole kind of cohort farm, ohana. So maybe a little different, but talent agencies or just agents in general, like is that your competition and how do you differentiate yourself with who you're talking to?
So our direct competitors are going to be mainland management companies, and again, what we're doing is we're trying to reach a market that they're not even paying attention to or they wouldn't even know about. So we do have like competitors like Wasserman or IMG, but again, because they're not on island, we have the leg up. In addition to that, them being able to make their wave into this industry here is very difficult because it's that component of trust.
And a follow-up question, or additional question. Looking at the financials, well, one, you have 5 people on your team. So at some point, salaries, when is that kind of factored in? And then a lot of the actual work might be independent contractors, right? With photographers, videographers, all of that. So that's a pretty expensive proposition. So at what point are you breaking even? And then the second thing was you're bootstrapped to your 10,000 kind of investment. What is the difference there that you're getting?
Okay, absolutely. So when it comes to, so I'll answer the first question. When it comes to the break-even point, again with the bootstrapping, we're volunteering our time. We really believe in what we're doing. So when it comes to breaking in that, it's like this is our side project. This has been my full-time project. This is my baby that you're looking at. So when it comes to breaking even, we're pretty much already doing so. The revenue that we're generating. When it comes to being able to independent contractor, I'll break down the cost for you in the cost per client. So what you'll see here is this is a cost per client when it comes to what we're expecting to cater for at the production level of being able to, here's your content. So that's where you're really using independent contractors in the cost of acquisition for the photographers and videographers. And then you'll also see, here's the cost what we're seeing for each expert manager.
So I'm a banker, so I have to ask this question. I think in your business plan, you didn't touch on it as much in the presentation, you talked about financial management assistance. Can you talk a little bit about what that would look like for your clients? What do you mean by financial management?
Absolutely. So I mean, again, this would be something where it's like we have our chief financial director sitting with each of our clients. This is after they have a little bit more of a gauge when it comes to their financials and their careers, being able to sit down and do financial planning. A lot of these athletes, what comes into play is they gain this money, whether it be absolutely substantial or just a little bit, and they don't know how to be able to leverage that to either leverage it into more money for themselves or being able to generate it into the business in itself. It's like reinvesting in themselves.
I'm not sure if you folks are thinking about this, but one thought is, again, you guys will be a center of influence, so having the right additional resources to support needs, right, like accounting, tax services, those types of things. So in addition to individually advising them, their financial needs could get a little bit more complex.
Absolutely, and then in considerations of that, we're also thinking of legality as well, having a legal team available to us, which I do currently have available, which has been incredible to work with when it comes to mitigating contracts to ensure, okay, yes, I'm overlooking it, but there's also a lawyer overlooking this to protect you, which again is not something these clients would have readily had available to them. And then I wanted to touch back, because I forgot to answer the 10K funding. The difference in that is we're seeing a faster acquisition of clients. If we have the 10K in funding, we're able to actually have our capabilities grow to be able to grow to the clientele that's reached out to us. I would onboard every single one of those clients today if I had the time and financial capability. We just don't right now.
How would you communicate to potential investors the opportunity, meaning after the local market, are you going to expand? What's your definition of success for you? How are they going to make a nice return?
Definition of success is that Hawaii is known in water sports at the top tier for each of the athletes. Right now, you're not seeing all Hawaiian athletes be at the top, or athletes from Hawaii, or even athletes being able to stay and train in Hawaii due to the cost of living. So what we're trying to do is, can we allow athletes to be able to stay here? What success looks like to me is making the dream possible for so many of these kids. Sorry. In addition to that, it's, sorry, I don't know if I touched on it.
What are your ambitions outside of Hawaii? Do you have?
Absolutely. Outside of Hawaii would be to be able to do this again in like the snowboarding, the skiing market, as well as just other more niche sports. There's so many sports that are out there, so just being able to make our hands into all of this. Right now we're seeing a huge growth in extreme sports, so also skydiving and cliff jumping, and I have been in touch with a lot of the top skydivers or cliff jumpers in the field. It's just, again, they're pushing the brinks of what human beings perceive they are capable of doing. I think the whole goal with this is to show really human beings can do anything. And you can make this not only a career, but you can inspire people. And then again, in addition to this with motion management, the whole thing that's super important here is the ocean. So honoring the ocean, making sure that we're working with sustainable brands, making sure that we have influencers that are advocating for the ocean and the sustainability of it here. Because without an ocean, you don't have a competing ground.
To go back to that question, so the difference in profit at the end of 2 years for Bootstrap was $204,000, where you can see the sum over here is $469,000. Again, this is just from being able to ramp up our capabilities immediately, get in-house production done, as well as being able to navigate these different relationships with, a little bit more money than just our volunteer time. Thank you.
Okay, let's give another round of applause.
So that brings us to the end of the finalist presentation. So we're going to ask all of the judges to move to a separate room to deliberate, but I want everyone else to stay in their seats. So if the judges could collect their belongings. Thank you. Okay, so while the judges deliberate, we are pleased to bring back some familiar faces. Since taking the top prize in the Venture competition last year, Team GOALL continued their entrepreneurial journey. They completed our Summer Startup Launchpad program, and they were also invited to be a part of our incubation program called Liftoff Advisors. So they spent the last year developing their idea with the help from 5 advisors, meeting with them monthly to help them progress and develop their idea even further. So throughout all of this, they have persisted, they have demonstrated courage, inspirational leadership, the can-do spirit, and a problem-solving mindset, really emulating the spirit of entrepreneurship. For those reasons, they will be receiving a special award today, the OmniTrack Spirit of Entrepreneurship Award. We're delighted to have Team GOALL here to share more about themselves and their inspiring journey. So please welcome Anne, Suzanne, and Kristen.
Hi everyone, I would like to take a moment to thank OmniTrack for their recognition, and we're so excited to be here today, coming again from last year. It's just like a lot of emotions going on, but we're really happy to see all the great presentations here. So we're going to take a moment to tell us about our progress and what we've been doing since winning last year's competition. Okay, so a bit of information about us. We are GOALL. GOALL stands for Great Online Activities for Language Learning, and we are a language learning company that operates under a freemium business model. We offer mobile app and web app, which are currently under development. And our mission is to help autonomous adult language learners accomplish everyday tasks in a foreign language through customizable, scaffolded, and research-grounded task-based activities. All right, so our team, I I just absolutely impressed myself. Our team, so we were all PhD students in the Department of Second Language Studies at UH Manoa last year. So I said we were because since we did the competition last year, 2 of us have become doctors since then. So congratulations to them. We're on the way, on the way out. Despite having many different specializations in second language studies, we have accumulated years of language teaching experience in the classroom, either teaching Chinese, English, or both. So GOALL really was born out of our desire to help autonomous adult language learners to acquire a foreign language using the methods that we know work best for our students in the classroom. So these methods include using a task-based language teaching approach, so engaging students in everyday real-world situation rather than repetition and memorization, which could work up to a certain point but not post the novice proficiency level. We also believe in exposure to authentic language use, meaning that they are exposed to what the kind of language that we're using everyday life, rather than saying a sentence like, the goat is wearing a pink skirt, something like that, right? So we don't want to have any wonky, decontextualized sentences that our learners will never get to use in the real world. And when it comes to authentic language use, it's really important for us to emphasize raising learners' pragmatic competence. And what that means, pragmatic just means meaning in context. So knowing how to say what to whom, in what situation, in a socially appropriate way. And finally, our classroom experiences have also taught us that scaffolding techniques are really helpful. So rather than throwing everything at our learners all at once, we break them down into manageable chunks and then order them by complexity to help our learners learn better. So altogether, these form the bedrock of the philosophy behind GOALL. So before handing over to Suzanne to tell you about our progress and product, I'd like to take a moment to share with you what we have accomplished since winning the competition last year. So the idea was officially conceptualized when we entered the competition last year, where we developed the business idea and we learned from experts and very intelligent minds and peers through boot camps and so on. And during that time, it's also our first time conducting customer discovery interviews, and it was really fun to get to know, this target segment, what their needs are and what they want. And after winning the competition, we realized that was just the tip of the iceberg. So that's just the beginning. So we still lack a lot of knowledge in entrepreneurship. So we entered the summer launchpad by PACE, during which we learned how to define, validate our hypotheses and business model canvas, and we conducted more and more customer discovery interviews along the way to learn more about the target segment. And here we are right now. We are participating in PACE's Liftoff Advisors program, where we have made tremendous progress since joining the program last October. So these progress include finally officially registering the business and with working on web development, as well as conducting 2 rounds of user testing on our prototype to kind of refine our product along the way. Also learn how to do social media marketing, where we have Instagram, Twitter, and so on, and engage with potential users online, as well as developing the content for our users. And of course, we're conducting more and more customer discovery interviews along the way. So next, I'll hand it over to Suzanne to talk about our product and progress.
Thank you. I just want to reiterate that we are really excited to be here today and to be able to update everybody and report back on the progress that we've made over the past year, particularly on the products that we've developed and the future goals that we have. So moving on, wrong way. This time last year, we were really in a very primarily conceptual stage about the sort of products that we wanted to provide to our customers and what we really wanted to give them, the value that we wanted to add to their language learning experiences. Last year, if anybody was here, you might remember that we had some working code that did not have any kind of user interface, and we also had what we presented was this Figma that you see here, this beautifully designed Figma. And over the past year, we've been able to combine those 2 things together so that now we have an actual working website. And if we can slide over to the website now, that would be great. So what users can do here, after they've registered and logged in and everything, they're shown this website. This is the reading tutor, I should mention. So basically what this is, it will help learners to read any text in Chinese that they want to read. So say you're a learner of Chinese, maybe you're overseas or you're in a class and you need to read an article or an assignment or something like that. So you can upload it into our website. Here we can press submit. Sorry. Yeah. And so for some technical issues, hold on a second. Okay, so once you come to this page, what this does, this is sort of the first step in reading. And you can, basically what this does is it will, as you scroll over the text, it will pop up some clues about what it is that you're reading. And these are all keywords to the text. So it might be some proper nouns, it might be organizations, it might be things that you wouldn't really see in your textbook that you might not be super familiar with. But basically, in this stage, you just want to get a general idea of what this is about. And after you do this, you get this sort of general idea. It will ask you some questions to get an idea of how well you understood the text in this first glimpse, right? If we can go back to the presentation now, that would be awesome. Yeah, and then based on that feedback, on that scoring, then you will go through a series of steps that really breaks the text down for you and scaffolds it in a way that will help to build your understanding, not just teach you vocabulary, not just like Anne said, teach you some wonky sentences, but to really help you to comprehend and understand this text in a very meaningful way. So that's the progress that we've made on the reading tutor side over the past year, basically going from design and code to an actual working product. And that's something that we've been using in our using for user testing, and we've gotten a lot of really great feedback from our user testers about that product. The other thing that we have been working on, and this was really very, very conceptual last year when we were here, is this idea, like Anne was saying, of really putting learners in this situation and helping them understand not just like, grammar, how do I say this, or what is the right vocabulary to use, but like, how do I act? What do I do? What should I expect? Things like that. So what we've developed here are scenarios, things like, okay, say you're in a foreign country and you are ordering food. What questions can you expect? Like when you say, oh, I want to order this food, what kinds of questions is the server going to ask you? How should you respond to that? How should you get the server's attention? When you're done ordering, what should you say to the server in order to pay the bill? And things like this. And again, this is something, last year, very conceptual. We had an idea that we wanted to really do this and to focus on this pragmatic aspect of language learning. And over the past year, we've developed a Figma, a very well-designed Figma, and we've done 2 rounds of user testing with this Figma design. And based on that user testing, we've really built in a lot of additional features. Like now we have this llama, who you can see here, who is kind of your guide through the whole process of ordering food in a restaurant, for example. And at the end of the task, we've actually added also some cultural point feedback. So some things as you're going through this process and you're like, well, why would I do this and not that? At the end, there's a sort of summary where it will say like, oh, in Chinese culture, this is how you behave, or something like this, right? And really to pinpoint some of those things to our students. And these are things that we've gotten really good feedback from our user testing on. And now, the other exciting thing that we have is our website. Over the past year, we've developed our website, and you can follow the QR code here. If you'd like to see our website, you can find out more details about our program, and you can also sign up for our email list. And on our email list, we will have ongoing updates about our company progress, when we launch, and things like that. And the other thing is that if you are a speaker of Chinese, or you know any Chinese at all, we are going to be doing some ongoing user testing over the coming months. So you can also sign up for our email list, and we will reach out to you when we're ready to do that user testing, and that would be amazing. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram. And now I will hand it over to Kristen, who will talk about our future.
Okay, thank you, Suzanne. So our hopes and goals for GOALL is to first launch our MVP in October this year, so fingers crossed. So please do sign up for our waiting list so that you can receive updates for when we do launch GOALL. And what our hope is when people use our app is that they're able to use it, so go through the scenarios, and then after they go through the scenarios, be able to use the same thing that they just did outside in the real world. So that's what we really hope users are able to get out of our language learning app. And then last, well, maybe not last, but for now, we are also hoping to expand the language options that we have GOALL available in. So right now we're developing it for Mandarin Chinese learners, but we do hope to expand the language options to English language learners or other languages based on traction and demand for our app. And then lessons learned so far. So over this year, what we learned is that you can never talk to enough people. There will always be more to talk to, and just as important it is to talk to more and more customers, it is also very important to listen to what they have to say. And so we have been talking to as many people as possible, listening to what they have to say, and then adjusting GOALL according to that. Also, based on what you've been listening to or what's going on around you, always be ready to pivot. And then when in doubt, ask. So one of the advice I got as a PhD student was make your dissertation committee work for you. And it's kind of funny because in our liftoff meeting, we were also encouraged to make our advisors work for us. So ask them a lot of questions as well. Over this past year, we have also been learning how to socialize ourselves as entrepreneurs. So while we are very good in navigating the academic space, we have been also learning this past year how to navigate the entrepreneur space as well. Also, this year we have been just having a just do it mindset. So as much as we like to plan and be organized, we found it is also very important to execute that plan and just do it. Last but not least, don't give up. So baby steps is still progress, but don't give up. Yeah. Okay. So at this time, we would like to thank OmniTrack for their recognition and for this very special award. We would also like to thank PACE for all of the opportunities that they have given us to work on GOALL and develop ourselves as entrepreneurs. We would also like to thank the Hub Co-working Hawaii for providing us the space where Suzanne and Diane have been going there to work on the scenario and reading tutor that you just saw. We would also like to express gratitude to New Venture Pro and Vantage Council, as well as our liftoff advisors, Jeff Hui, Peter Rowan, Ryan Bailey, Ilyas Beshimov, and Leanne Miyasato. So with that, I would like to thank everybody for their attention. Please do sign up for the waiting list. Oops, sorry. Please do sign up for our waiting list, and we hope to give you more updates soon. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, GOALL. So I want all of the cell phones out. Where's everyone's cell phone? Scan, sign up, follow them on the app. I'm waiting, I'm not seeing cell phones. Bring them out. Okay, thank you, GOALL, for giving us that update. We are so proud of you, and we are so glad that you shared with all of the people here what you've learned. You've really grown into entrepreneurs and the lessons learned. So we didn't tell them to say any of this. So that was the first time I saw this presentation, and I'm so touched. I'm like, oh my gosh, they get it. They get what we're trying to teach. So we're very proud. Thank you. And so right now I want to call up Honorable Patricia M. Louis. She's the founder and Chief Executive Officer of OmniTrack. She's here with us today to present the OmniTrack Spirit of Entrepreneurship Award to GOALL. So please come up.
This is amazing. Just incredible. Congratulations.
There are ladies. Okay, there you go.
Okay, so as the judges continue to deliberate, we're going to take a break and have a networking reception. But before I do that, I want to say hello to the Zoom audience. Thank you, Zoom audience. Thank you for joining us. We're so glad that you're with us today online. You're missing out because there are a whole bunch of wonderful people here in person that you're not going to be able to network with. But thank you for joining us online. So the Zoom audience, please return at 12:50 for the special awards ceremony, and that's when we'll announce the winners, so see you then. For the in-person audience, we are going to have refreshments and networking in the Ka'ikena room, which I think is right outside here to my right. And for the teams, please stay together because you will be getting feedback from the judges. So Tracy will be coming around and finding Tracy. Over there will be coming around and finding you so that you can go in and meet with them and get your feedback. Okay? So that's it for now, everyone. An hour worth of networking. Go have fun, mingle, meet people, and enjoy some food. Thank you. To kick off the award ceremony, please help me welcome my co-host to this event, Vance Rowley, the Dean of the Shidler College of Business.
Thank you, Sandra. This is an incredible event on behalf of the Shidler College of Business. Let's congratulate all of the participants in this whole business competition for the entire year. So this marks the 23rd annual competition for PACE and the venture competition now. This is the 19th competition I've attended as dean. Average tenure for a dean is actually 4.5 years, so I kind of outlived my welcome here. But I can't leave. It's just too much exciting things happening, especially with PACE and RISE and what's going to happen next. So it's just a wonderful organization to be involved with, and we're very proud of what PACE has accomplished and the future with our new RISE facility. I'm pleased to share with you this year we had competitors from 3 UH campuses, including a neighbor island, and over 20 disciplines were represented in the competition this year. And finalists, this was a tough group. I usually have opinions about who would be first, second, third on my scorecard, and this year I could not decide, so the judges had a tough time. And I also am aware of there are another 4 or 5 really high-quality teams that did make it to the finals. So the finalists should just be really pleased that you made it this far. So congratulations to the 4 finalists. We couldn't do this without the support of the business community, our sponsors, coaches, judges, instructors. So thank you all so much. And thank you to American Savings Bank, our title sponsor this year. American Savings Bank. And it gives me great pleasure to introduce American Savings Bank President and CEO, Ann Teranishi.
Thank you so much. Welcome everyone if this is your first time to our campus. We are so glad to be able to host these events again after a few years hiatus. And we're so honored to be a part of this venture competition. We actually have been involved with the competition since 2013, so I think this is like our 11th year, and really proud to be able to support innovation and entrepreneurialism within our community. And like Dean said, this is a very difficult position to be in as a judge. I am very lucky to be partnered with such brilliant, smart co-judges. We really enjoyed the presentations and just are amazed by the innovative ideas and the work and the thought and the promise of what you all are working on. I also, like Dean, wanted to thank everyone who were part of the judging, mentoring, the professors and instructors, and all the other corporate sponsors that made this possible. This is a really important investment for all of us. We need innovation, we need opportunity to create a sustainable Hawaii with people and young people and people in all industries to support broadening out our economic sustainability, as well as making this a place where young people feel like they can continue to thrive and stay. So very glad to be a part of this, and I know everybody wants to get to the drum roll time, so I think I'm going to hand it back off to Sandra.
Great, thank you, Anne. We appreciate you and American Savings Bank for being such great supporters for us over the years and supporting the next generation of great entrepreneurs here in Hawaii. Not only through this program, but for all that you and your team do for PACE and the entire local ecosystem throughout the year. I want to also give a shout out to some of the members of your team. So Michelle Bartel and Noel and Matthias have been wonderful and great in setting this up for us today. And then a bunch of people on your team have also come in and given their time. So Kyle Shelley was an instructor along with Joanne Diggs, and I know Joanne is here somewhere. So she's been wonderful coming out. They both instructed and they both judged in our semifinalist round. We also had Sydney Ashiro and Matt Marias. And I'm sure a number of other team members that came in to be a part of this and to make this happen. So thank you for that. And as you can imagine, and as Anne and Dean really have shared, this competition is an enormous undertaking that involves a big cast of characters and supporters. So I am also going to give more shout outs and more thank yous, so please bear with me. So for our sponsors, I want to thank the generous prize sponsors, a list of which are on page 17 of the program. And for those of our sponsors in attendance, please stand so that you can be recognized. So Kei Fukunaga is here from Hawaiian Electric Industries. So we have Travis Ito from Blue Logic Labs. The Honorable Barbara Richardson is here representing High Beam. Barbara. We have Nam Vu and Josh Rivera from Hub Co-working Hawaii. Charles Roach from New Venture Pro. Pia Arma, is she here? No, from Pineapple Tweed. And then we have Greg Kim from Vantage Council. I know I saw Greg. Where are you, Greg? So I also want to give a big thank you to the long list of coaches, judges, and instructors who volunteer a number of hours to guide the teams and to help them polish their presentations. We could not run a successful program without their support. So the names of all of those volunteers are on page 18 and 19 of the program. And so we ask that our volunteers to please stand and let's give them a big round of applause. So last but not least, I have to shout out the dedicated and hardworking PACE team. So there's Addie. Where is Addie? Addie! And Kara is over there. And we have Jessie. And Crystal. And Tracy. Oh, Tracy, my friend. So we have amazing student leaders that help us do what we do. And I can see Danny saying, don't say my name, Sandra. We have Danny who helps us with timekeeping. Chris, where is Chris? Chris is back there in the back. There's Hoku. Is Hoku here? Oh, she had to leave, but Hoku was here as well. Rachel is over here. So in addition to this program, we have a comprehensive portfolio of programs that we offer throughout the year, and the GOALL team shared a couple of them with you in their presentation. So all of that cannot happen with the support of our community, many of which are here today in this audience. So thank you to our community of folks that helped make this happen. We also want to thank our PACE Board of Directors and our donors who support all that we do. We could not put on the programs without our donors as well. They provide the prizes as well as the programming support that we can offer. Let's see. And I just wanted to point out a couple of volunteers that come in and speak to our students on a weekly basis and give them one-on-one mentoring. So that would be Greg Kim, who is also one of the prize sponsors. And Tia, who is not here, but also Scott Brewer. So Scott, and I also wanted to shout out one more person. She's not here, but I think some of you might know Leanne Miyasato. So she's been wonderful. So our Lift Off Advisors program has something that we ran this past year, and we asked her to step in. So she's an advisor for all 3 teams in that program and has really kind of become an extension of PACE so that we could focus on our larger project that's going up across the street. So I just wanted to point out to Leanne, she's not here, but if you guys ever see her, tell her thank you because she's supported all of our teams over the past year. Okay, so before we get to the announcement, there's one thing that we want to do, and we want to recognize a special student. So each year we select one student who has made exceptional contributions to the entrepreneurial activities at the university and in our community. This student is an entrepreneur in her own right. She has been running her own e-commerce shop since November of 2021. She joined PACE last year as one of our first PACE leaders, helping us shape and design our programs, activities, and events in order to grow our network of entrepreneurial-minded students. She also revived the Hawaii Student Entrepreneurs Organization at Shidler. It had kind of gone by the wayside during COVID, and she came to us and she let us know, I want to revive it. Who do I need to talk to? How do I revive it? So she brought that together, revived it, and brought a whole host of students into that organization, and now it's like lively and up and running. And more recently, she was a semi-finalist in this year's competition, so she also participated in our programs. And finally, just want to mention she's an intern at HouseMart, where she is doing both the front end and back end web development to transition physical showcase inventory to an online platform. So a very amazing individual that does many things, and as you can see, I am thrilled to present the Outstanding Entrepreneurship Student of the Year Award to Danny Passion. So before we get to the results, I want to congratulate all of the 4 finalists. We are so impressed with how much you have achieved in the short few months that you've been with us here and competing in the competition. In fact, we are so pleased with your progress that all 4 teams will be leaving with something here today. Okay, so now's the time, the results. I know you've been waiting. So I'd like to call onto the stage the Honorable Barbara Richardson, retired District Judge of the First Circuit Court, State of Hawaii, to present the 3rd place award sponsored by High Beam in honor of her late brother and pioneer, Billy Richardson. So in 3rd place, the $2,500 cash award in honor of pioneer Billy Richardson by High Beam, along with thousands more in professional services, goes to Localinqs and their coach, Carolyn Pratt.
Carolyn, try. Where are you? I'm up here. Thank you, Carolyn.
No, they did everything.
So now, to announce the second place winner, I'd like to call up Kane Fukunaga, the Director of Corporate Strategy, Financial Planning, and Analysis at HEI. In second place, the $5,000 HEI Hawaiian Electric cash prize, plus thousands more in professional services, goes to Zingipop. Now to announce the first place winner, and I just want to remind everyone that the fourth place winner will also get a prize. So like we said, nobody's going home with nothing, that everyone's going to get something. Okay, so for the first place winner, I want to call up Ann Teranishi. She's the President and Chief Executive Officer of American Savings Bank. Okay, and here's the winner of the $10,000 American Savings Bank cash prize plus thousands more in professional services. It goes to Motion Management. Thank you, Anne. Hey, so congratulations to all the competitors. You all did a tremendous job. We are so proud of you. And thank you to everyone watching on Zoom. This concludes our program. So I hope everyone enjoys the rest of the weekend. Thanks for coming out and supporting our student entrepreneurs. Thank you.